tackling life issues, increasing our faith, and expressing your beliefs. You are now tuned in to The F.L.Y Show. First of all, let me unmute myself so y'all can hear me. Let's start there. But now that we've unmuted myself, good evening, everybody, and what's going on to everybody out here in the land. This is yours truly, Jasmine D, Milhouse, and I want to welcome you back here to the F.L.Y Show, where the F.L.Y stands for First Love You, and I am your most beautiful host for the evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you back here with me for another episode of the F.L.Y Show. Let me know where you are watching from. Make sure you drop where you are in the comments, like, tag, and share this broadcast on this evening, because you know I come with some dynamic people that I have the opportunity to sit and speak with and get their stories, listen to their testimonies, and just learn more about their journey. And it is always my honor and my pleasure to be here with you on this evening every Wednesday right here live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in with me here. I am so super excited for this interview on tonight. I know you all like to hear me say that all the time because I say it every week, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart, because it is such an amazing thing to be me, because I get to sit and listen to so many powerful individual ladies, men, couples. It is so phenomenal to be in my position. It is phenomenal to be in my purpose. I am blessed beyond measure to have the F.L.Y Show, and my heart is just filled with so much joy to just bring you so many people that you may know and some that you may not know. So just make sure you stick around with me here again. Like, tag, and share, because you know I have another powerhouse that's going to be coming in here speaking with me on tonight. And let me go ahead and get into this bio. Miss Tabitha is the mother of two wonderful children. She was a nurse by profession and an executive leader on purpose. She is the co-founder of Abide Candle Co., located right here in the great city of Atlanta, Georgia, where they hand pour luxury soy candles, specially designed with grace. As growth in faith and investment would have it, Miss Tabitha is also a licensed realtor in the state of Georgia, serving families and communities alike. Service and generosity are abiding principles that Miss Tabitha lives and leads by professionally and personally. This can be expressed clearly within her community, Women of Wisdom, where she is the administrative leader of the faith-based council of women, where they embody the mind of Christ and exude the heart of God in the marketplace through wise counsel and faith-filled exploits. Having been an entrepreneur for many years, a mother for quite some time, and a natural born leader, she understands the demand, pressure, and reward that comes with being a faithful executive. Faith-based and people-driven members more than candles. She creates unforgettable experiences. And when I tell you, you're going to see that right here on the interview. So it is it is my honor, it is my pleasure to present to you and introduce to some none other than Miss Tabitha. Good evening. How are you? You're muted. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Listen,
Unmute.
that's the way that my day been going. But other than the way my day been going, I am blessed. I am highly favored. And more importantly, I am just overjoyed to be here with you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Y'all see that logo in the back behind her. Abide Candle Co. When I tell y'all that is such a luxury candle line, if you have not heard of it, if you've never seen it, if you've never smelled it, if you've never had the opportunity to be blessed by the best, make sure you go to Abide Candle Co. and go look it up and get you a candle or two or three or 10. All right. And put up in your house and experience the abide process, the love and the prayers that go into each one of those candles. But before we get into that, I want to know, how are you doing, Miss Tab? How are you?
I am, you know what? There's so many things we can complain about. But I am really saying, when I say I am blessed, like it's not a platitude. It's not like I am so blessed. I am here, right? I am well. I have opportunities in my hands that I never imagined, right? I have my family. I have this honor. I am doing well. I am doing well. All is well in my soul. And I'm not even lying.
Yeah. So I want to kind of go back to the beginning of your journey before we get into Abide Candle Code, before we get into realty, even before nursing. What was it like growing into Tabitha? What was that process like for you?
That is a very, very interesting question because I've been around the block a couple times, and I have very, very humble beginnings. I grew up in Canton, Ohio. It's a very small town outside of the major
Mhm.
city of Cleveland. It's about an hour away. And I grew up in the projects. I grew up in the projects to a single mother. I grew up in the projects to a single mother and a father who was incarcerated. And so it unfortunately is the typical story, right? Like, we have
Mhm.
this drug inundated society in which we're trying to grow up in. And so we're trying to grow roses in the midst of concrete that's all around us. And somehow, some way, God has guided me and He's directed me through my mishaps, through my backsliding, through my poor decision making, through my lack of discernment, right? Through teenage pregnancy, right? I had my son when I was a teenager,
Yeah.
right? So different things and different experiences. And that's why I'm really big on experience, because God has gotten me through some experiences. And it was because of the experience in which I've had with Him, it's kind of who I am today. But it's so many different situations and scenarios that has led up to who I am. Grief, battling grief. I lost my grandmother in the midst of me moving from Ohio to Atlanta, right? No, not knowing anyone here,
Mhm.
with a lack of support, right? So going through grief while trying to manage a business, but it's a lot, right? And so every step of the way, it's God. And the reason I say this, and I'm gonna share a real quick story about just being faithful and trusting the process, and more importantly, trusting God, because I know we talk about trusting the process a lot, but if we do not trust God, we will never ever be able to trust the process. And so in the midst of trying to trust the process, He showed me how to trust Him. And I moved to
Mm.
Atlanta with my two children and my husband. We have no family here, no friends here. I came here with a nursing license. Literally, I came here with a nursing license. It was ironic because we visited about 4 times looking for homes, doing the research, what we had to do. Now, I had freshly had a baby. She was about 4 months. After I got my clear, we moved, right? So we sold our home in Cleveland and moved here. But before we moved here, right, we saw this home. We thought it was ours. We applied for it over the weekend. Now, we only had a certain amount of time because the home in Cleveland was sold. So you have to be out so the new buyer can get it. And we didn't want to start paying rent, right? Back to,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
we got here. Our house fell through, right? And so I literally said, Lord, I just need a place. We need a place that you find fit for us. And the home that we
Mhm.
that we currently have, we never saw it before moving into it. It was only a Google map. It was only a Google map, and then the pictures they show you on Google, right? And we read the niche
Mhm.
report about the crime level and the schools and all that. And I'm like, Lord, I'm going off
Right.
of a report, and I'm going off of what you're telling me, right? Because this is it. And when I tell you, it was
Right.
more than asked for, and it was more than we could imagine. And it was everything that we didn't even know that we needed right where it was. And in that moment is when I heard God say, just trust me, right? And Ephesians 3:20 is what comes to mind. I can do beyond what you can ask or think. You can ask me for only that and what you can imagine, but I can do beyond that, right? I'm asking, Lord, I need to make sure my kids is in a good school district. I need a development, right? And then you think that you have it all figured out, and not knowing that
Right.
perhaps where you thought you were supposed to be was cursed. It was something that you did not see that God saw. There were people there that you didn't see that God did, that he was protecting you from. And oftentimes we believe our detours, right, are delays
Mm-hmm.
or we're punished in a way, but really it's his protection and it's his guidance. And so when I lean into that, I have a much greater outcome than I can ask or I can imagine. So that's how I got
Mm-hmm.
here, right? Life was life, and at one point in time, out of my control, of course, as a juvenile child growing up. And then here I am in the grace of God to be who I am right now. So that's the long
Wow.
story short.
Wow, listen, and it's so that's the one part that I love to hear about the backstory, because so many people, they try to hide their story, but it makes the journey. It doesn't necessarily define, okay, well, my mistakes is just who I am. No, that's not the case. It made you become who you were supposed to be, because you have to, yeah, you got to go through it, but you have to extract the wisdom from these different situations and apply it to those next levels. So when you go from childhood, teenage pregnancy, moving from one state to another just blindly, based off of a picture of a house that you saw, and it lands you exactly where God wanted you, how did you then get the creative thought process of starting your candle company?
It wasn't bore out of a creative process. It was bore out of a pruning process. It was bore out of a process of depression and anxiety and alcoholism. It was bore not out of creativity, but out of out of a cave, low key, because it wasn't
Mhm.
like, oh, this is my passion project, I need to turn this into a business, which is awesome. It is fine. It is dandy. Kudos to those that do, but for abide, right? Okay, we're gonna go back just a little bit. Before moving to Atlanta, I owned a restaurant in downtown Cleveland, a full service bar and restaurant. It had a private dining room that fit 100 people, and a bar had 63 seats. So imagine we're in downtown Cleveland. We were in many publications, many magazines, right? Voted on different things. Our chef was phenomenal.
Mhm.
But it was in my might, it was in my power, it was fast money, it was, if for lack of a better term, because this was the life I used to live, it was like drug money, real quick, hustle money,
Mhm.
real fast, right? You can easily break $10,000, $15,000 in a night, right? Now granted, you do
Yeah,
have high
yeah.
expenses, you got payroll and you have all that, but you still, when you rocking it and you downtown Cleveland and think this is when LeBron James is here, we popping, right?
Mhm.
Temptation, the lust, the waywardness, the the attraction to the shiny thing, right? It ended
Mhm.
up encapsulating me into something and someone that I was not created to be. It was in my mind.
Ooh.
While it was successful and sustainable, it was not sanctified nor sacred. It wasn't set apart and it wasn't being used for the glory of God, right? And he showed me that. And it doesn't matter how much. That's why I laugh when entrepreneurs are so hyped up on this six-figure business thing. I just it tickles my little fear. It just tickles my little fancy. I just crack up because that's easy. You understand? That is the easy part. But making an impact, making a difference, Having a calling and operating in purpose, see, that's priceless. And no matter how many hundreds of thousands of dollars you make, you will never be able to feel or experience the fullness of his glory until you step into a sacred business. And so, needless to say, the restaurant it wasn't sacred, it was successful. Right. So we can't get the two confused. And although you have a successful business, your business don't have to be sacred, because not every business is called to be sacred, set apart, called for, used for his, right. So let us not make this a general thing. It was specific to me, which is how we got to abide. And just bear with me, I'm going to get there. Right. So we have this restaurant that's extremely successful, extremely notable in the community, but it wasn't set apart. We dissolved it. We sold our home. We moved here. My grandmother was battling lung cancer. She was starting to go to the treatments in the midst of my move. I get here. I don't have a job. I have a nursing license. I drive 16 hours from Ohio to get to Atlanta. The same day I check into the hotel, because our keys weren't going to be available till the next day. I check into the hotel. I take a quick shower. I throw my scrubs on and I go to the interview where I'm supposed to be going. Now, this is the only interview that I have, guys, right? Now, I'm telling you, this is a whole faith move. This is the only interview that I have as a nurse. I landed the interview. Boom, I got the job, right? Now, my grandmother is battling cancer. So this is already difficult, because she was my saving grace from my childhood. This was my best friend. This was the one who got us out of where we were. She moved us from Canton to Cleveland. My grandmother, she had a nonprofit. She was a little bit more well off, right? Mm-hmm. So she got us where we needed to be. Okay. So I was losing her, but I was in the midst of a move. I didn't have stability in a job. I didn't have job security, although I had a secure license. There were so many moving pieces. I lost my best friend also to throat cancer, right? 43 years old. I lost my best friend in October, and then I turned around and lost my grandmother in December. So grief shattered.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever experienced grief. I never lost anyone, right? And this is high. This is like late 20s. This is my late 20s. I've never experienced this, right? And so now I have a whole family, and I got a lot going on, right? So I started to lose all of my hair. And after I lost my grandmother in December. And by January, I had less hair than you right now. And it was just falling out. It was just falling out.
Yeah.
So I was going through a lot, and I fell into drinking way too much. And then I was working at the Emory outpatient transplant clinic, right? So I would see patients who were getting lung transplants, kidney transplants, pancreas, anything you can transplant. That's who we were working with. So all ages. I mean, we had a father come in so that he could give his liver to his baby, like a piece of his liver to his baby who needed a liver transplant. So we had all ranges, all things, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that struck me was one day I had a dream. And I had a dream that I was at work in the Emory outpatient transplant clinic. And I had a dream, of course, I'm the nurse, and so I'm going in to groom the patient, right? But as I walk in, I am being groomed for a liver transplant. Now, this is me heavily drinking. This is me having experienced alcohol poison. This is me experiencing me needing a liver transplant. This is a dream, right? So when I wake up the next day, I experience alcohol poisoning. Not because I drank so much at one time, but because I was drinking consistently every day in small amounts. And so, of course, your blood alcohol level goes up naturally. So I said, God, I bargained with him, and I said, Lord, we're going to get to the candles, y'all. I promise you, just trek with me. I said, Lord, after that, I said, Lord, if you can just show me the light. If you can show me the light at the end of the tunnel, please just show me the light at the end of the tunnel. It was dark. It was so dark. It was so much. And so then he revealed to me, it's not the light at the end of the tunnel that you need, but the light on the inside of you. And so if he said, if you abide in me, this is literally him telling me, If you abide in me, if you abide in me, I will show you the light. And it's not at the end of the tunnel, because what good will the light at the end of the tunnel do you? You still got to go through the darkness to get to the end before you see the light. And say, he said, I need you to see the light on the inside of you so that you can get through it. And that's
Yeah.
where I came from. And he showed me he showed me John 15:4 and 5. Summing it up, abide in me and I in you, for apart from
Right.
me, you can do nothing. And from there, it was the candles, because when I wrote my grandmother's eulogy, her, the title was A Candle in the Wind, and it spoke to her flame being blown out. And so for him to give me that, and then he said, you only need a spark. And he told me the candle, and it was just that small candle. And from there, here we are. So abide is not a candle. It is not. It is an experience. It truly, truly is. So it wasn't born out of creativity, but it was born out of captivity. I was in captivity, and that's where it was born. So that's how we got to abide, y'all.
Wow. Listen, man, I've never, the many times I've seen you, the many interviews I've seen you on, I've never experienced your story like this, you know, and it signifies, it means that much more, you know, just seeing God's hand on your life is that much more. I'm speechless. When you render a whole speechless, that man, listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. So that transitioning time for you, that growing period for you, seeing yourself right here, right now, how do you feel in this present moment?
Free. I've not had a drink in 2 years. So I feel free. I feel, and it's more than a feeling. I know I am free. I am not bound. I am not, I'm not going to say I'm not tempted, right? But I'm not
Mhm.
bound by the temptation, right? So I feel free. I feel free. I know I am free. I am free. I just feel free. I feel
Yeah.
focused. Um, I feel free.
Just unexplainable, free, you
It's
know.
just unexplainable. It's so inexplicable.
Yeah.
And I promise you, like, I can say so much and I can talk so much about so many different things, but when you say how, like, I feel free, and that's such a heavy word,
Mhm.
but it's such a small word, but it's so, I feel free in my mind, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
feel free in my spirit to be able to go out and have control and a good time, right? Because what you drink, it won't get me drunk, right? And I realized who I am is not at the bottom of a bottle. It's I know who I am, right? Without question or without doubt. And I don't need any affirmation, validation, or anything from any substance or person, right? Like, I feel free to worship God, how I worship Him, when I worship Him. I feel free to praise God and give Him the glory. I feel free to create, abide into experiences that no one else
Yeah.
is doing. I feel free. Like, that's what I say. The word is so heavy, but I feel free. It's such a
Mhm.
release. It says, lay aside any sin or weight that easily besets you. And oftentimes we get caught up in the sin part, but not the weight part that besets us. The weights of sin, not just sin, but the weights of alcoholism, not just alcoholism, but the weight of pornography and lust, the weight of desire that is out, that is worldly, like the weights that keep us from who He's created us to be, from realizing who He is. Like, we have to lay those aside and have that weight laid aside and to be able to pick up his yoke, it's free.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. And through all of your adversities, through all of your tests and all of your trials, all of your losses and your gains, what made it to where you always chose you? How was that process? Because even when some people think, like, when you're going through hard times or whatever the case may be, or easy times, that you don't choose yourself. You, just like you said, you went through alcoholism. That's me choosing my own satisfaction. Even when you're transitioning, that was you choosing to do better. What made you always decide to choose you?
I didn't choose me, God did. You see what was happening when I was choosing me? When I was choosing me, I had liquid diets. When I was choosing me, I liked the fast money and the fast life, right? When I was choosing me, I did nothing in service and didn't care about excellence. When I was choosing me, I was not who he created me to be. So it's not necessarily about me choosing me. It's about learning that you need not to choose you. You need not to choose you. Choose him. Choose him that created you. Choose him that has known you even before you were in your mother's womb. Choose him who can redeem you. Choose him who has already given you the victory. Choose him. Like, so I had to decide at one point, Tab, you can't choose you. You can't. There's a thin line between choosing you and losing you. So if you're on a path of choosing you, allows for you to lose yourself, lose your sanity, lose your projection and your focus, lose your network, lose your if choosing you and you're on a thin line of losing yourself, sis, I would just encourage you to choose him, because I have to do that daily. Like, I have to choose God, because if I choose me, I cuss somebody out. If I choose me, I flip out on somebody. If I choose me, I'm not going to show up because I don't feel like it. If I choose me, I'll run off of motivation instead of discipline. If I choose me, I have to choose him daily, because when I choose him, I choose to operate in purpose. When I choose him, I choose to operate in excellence. When I choose him, I choose to show up in grace. When I choose him, I choose to bridle my tongue. When I choose him, I choose not to drink alcohol. When I choose him, the choice is already made for me. So I don't really got to choose anything. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand exactly what you're saying. And I get where that comes from. I get it, because putting you and I mean choosing you, because some people misconstrue with choosing you in the natural world, but I'm saying choosing you in a spiritual way. You know what I mean? Because some people say, oh, I'm gonna be selfish, blah 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 blah. No, sis, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a whole different type of level of experience. I'm talking about you stepping out of the way in order for you to be able to see the path that you're supposed to be on. I'm saying you stepping out of your way so that you can stop blocking your purpose. I'm saying for you to step out of the way so you won't be so distracted that you can't hear what God is telling you to do. He's telling you to stop doing whatever you're doing. He's telling you that you don't need to go this way. You don't need to
Right.
go that way. But when we choose self so much in the spiritual way, it gives him the inability to show us better. And
Right.
it gives us the inability to follow what he's already told us to do. And
Right.
for you, what has been, how has your admiration for God impacted the way you live today?
Oh, that's
How
my
has
God.
that?
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
That's
God
my
is
guy.
my guy. Like,
Yeah.
When I'm in the trenches, that's my guy. When I am celebrating, that's my guy. When I am lost and confused, that's my guy. I mean, you literally, the God that you see is the God that you get. Okay. And the way that I've taught my children is because I have a 5-year-old and I have a 13-year-old. And so I don't force God on them because that will deter God from them. I allow them to see God around them. I allow God to see, I show them God around them so that they can recognize blessings, so they can recognize things that they can't really understand, although they see it, so that they can believe in things that they can't even see yet, right? So one story I like to say is when an airplane is flying and you're down on the ground and you look up and you say, my goodness, that plane is so small, right? But then when you get into your vehicle and you drive to the airport and you go past a security and you get to the gate, the airplane becomes bigger. And then when you get down the jet bridge and you get on the inside, my God, this thing is huge, right? That's how God is. The further away you are from God, he is tiny. The closer that you get to him, the bigger he becomes. Once you get on the inside of him and he on the inside of you, that's a whole different experience. And so my adoration for God allows for me to see a big God. It allows for me to see a present God. It allows for me to see a God just like I see you, Jazz, as God is my witness. I see God just like I see you. Like he is so tangible to me. He's not in the sky. He's not in this place that I can. He is right here. He is here. That's why I'm like, that's my God. And when you can realize that the God that you see is the God that you get, just like an airplane, if he's far away and he's tiny to you and you're only seeing a little bit of God in your life, I would just suggest you get closer. Because guess what? Sometimes the airport isn't going to come to you for you to see the plane bigger. You got to go to the airport in order to see the plane bigger. In order to get onto, you got to go. And so if you see a small God and it's distance and he's distance and you feel, I just encourage you to go closer. You to go closer because I had to go closer. God was never lost. So it wasn't like I found God. I was lost. So he found me. So you got to go close. You got to go close. So my adoration for God is to ensure that he is on the throne of my life, of my decision making, because it was a hard pill for me to swallow to realize that when I was operating in myself with my other business, I put myself on the throne. So I became the idol. Unpopular truth. You can become the idol, right? You can become your own idol and you not even know it. So you want to be careful that you don't begin to idolize the blessing, right? You don't begin to idolize the blessing. So I keep God first as him being here, as him being right here. Because if I see him as a God right here, that's the God that I'm going to get, the God that's right here, the God that can act suddenly, the God that can respond to me, the God that can not only listen, but can hear me. Like, that's what is important to me. So my adoration for God it's the foundation. It's a love relationship. Sometimes I go to him and I just be like, listen, man, it ain't adding up. The math ain't mathing. The you better come on, man. Like, and then some days I go to him like, oh my God, Daddy, I'm just so sick. Like, and then some days I'm like, listen, man, we did it. Like, so I ensure that God, I know the God that I speak of, right? I know the God that I speak of. This is not just, oh, let me grab a couple scriptures off the website. Let me just spot. This is a God that I know. This is a God that I have experienced. This is a God that I encounter daily. So that is the root. My adoration for God is the foundation of everything that I do.
Wow, you're making this so amazing for me. Like, for real. You were making it. I told you, I was like, I don't have my questions with me. My son has my phone. When I tell you, you pruning these skills over here, girl, like gotta come through with this testify. Okay, ma'am. Listen. So with getting, understanding the admiration for God and what he means to you and the direction that he's taking your life, you're being the co-founder of a biochemical, a newly promoted full-time entrepreneur, okay, a mom, a wife, just being able to hang up one passion for another to go full-fledged in, okay, God, I'm trusting you. I don't look down. Hey, look, like what you say, look, man. If when I get out here, don't leave me and be like, all right, sit right here, don't look. Okay, being on this now full-time entrepreneurship, hanging up nursing, being a realtor in the state of Georgia, being the co-founder of a biochemical, being nominated for a Speak Up Sis Award. Okay, let's go there, right? Okay, make sure you all go go vote for that, and
Yes,
also
yes.
now and being selected for Goldman Sachs and being in, what was it? It was in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, being
Yes.
in New York. What has been the most rewarding about your entire journey?
What has been the most rewarding?
Yeah.
To know that I deserve to be there. To know that
Mm,
I deserve to be there.
wow.
To know that I was selected. See, all of these processes are selection processes. The Goldman Sachs, I was chosen as one of 148 out of over 2,000, right?
Mm,
Uh, in the Speak Up Sis, I was chosen as one of 65 out of 300,
mm,
right?
yeah.
So for me to just know that I deserve to be there. In every room that he's called me to, I deserve to
Woo.
be there. On every conversation that he's called me to speak, I deserve to be there. On every business contract that I decide to sign, I deserve I deserve, not because I'm just amazing, but because he chose me. He selected me. He selected me in every single step. I didn't
Mm,
say Goldman Sachs choose me. I didn't say Speak Up Sis. He chose me. And so, with that, the greatest reward in all of that is to know that I deserve to be there. I was chosen.
mm.
Yep.
Ma'am, you about to make me run out this chair, okay? Listen, I was chosen. He selected me for a time such as this.
My God.
That's
If
it.
if if he chose me for such a time as this was anybody's season, it's my season right now. It's not
Mm.
a it's not a social media post. I am living in the glory. I am living in the goodness. I am living in the promises of God. And so I am convinced that they are yes and amen. And no matter what negative self thoughts come up, no matter what negative Nancy's, no matter what weapons, no matter who tries or what tries, I deserve because I was chosen.
Mm. Wow. And who has been through ups and downs, closing business, selling houses, moving state to state, full time entrepreneurship? Who has been your biggest mentor?
That's such a good question, but I'm not even being like, I'm about to be so corny right now, but I don't even care because it's so true. Like, I cannot make this up. I don't, okay, I love Sarah Jakes Roberts. That's my
Hmm.
sister, and
Hmm.
she don't know it. TD Jakes is my father. He doesn't know it. The Jakes family is my family, and they don't know it. Um, I, that's pretty much it. Because honestly, Jazz, listen, I've paid for mentorship. It ain't work out, right? In the midst of all the transitions and everything, I was asking God for a mentor and I was asking him to show me, different people that would help me. I was asking him for that, and he was just like, "Listen, I'm your mentor. I'm your guide. You've had enough influence. It's time for you to hear me and see only me, and I will show you what I need to show you. I will take you where I need to take you, and I will provide the people that will inspire and influence you in the way that I need for you. So you don't need to go seek the people out. I will bring them to you." So I keep my network very, very tight. And a more grand, more realistic. I do get coaching with Latasha Brooks. She's amazing. I mean, she's faith based. I met her in Faith Figures. So I do some group coaching with her, which is amazing. I believe in investing in yourself. It's not that I've had a mentor, but I've had my husband who has been foundational, from everything. I mean, from nursing school, right? Like we met online. He was in med school and I was in nursing school, right? So like that's my guy too, right? Like that's my, you got to get you a rider. You understand what I'm saying? I'm rough around the edges, and so he can roll. He's my sandpaper, he's my sandpaper. He's pivotal. And I just believe in investing in yourself. Even if you don't have a mentor, oftentimes we get deterred. I don't really have a mentor. It's about using the resources and the people that are around you, to the best of your ability, following people that impact you in a positive way. Right. And then just investing in ways that actually grow you and develop you, so uh, that's that on mentorship. I do believe in mentorship, and I do hope that I can find a compatible mentor. And but for me, I protect my space and I'm very selective. So when it comes time, I know God will show me and reveal to me who He has assigned to me to be intimately close to me. So yeah.
Okay. And so one more question. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone that is looking to start their entrepreneurship journey or just life journey, as a whole, the person that may be lost, confused, don't know which way to turn, what would be your piece of advice that you would give them?
The best piece of advice that I could give you is uh do it with faith. Right. Like I know some people are like, do it afraid, girl. Don't do it afraid. Now listen, child, that fear had you somewhere you don't want to be. I promise you that. Listen, man, fear is good to a certain extent, but faith is better. So you do it in faith, right? And do it with purpose. Oftentimes I find that people that operate in purpose experience longevity, right? And so find your God-given purpose. It's not about a social media trend. It's not about a get rich quick scheme. It's about making kingdom impact. And if you're not a kingdom person, it's about making positive impact anywhere that you go. And if you aren't a kingdom person, I suggest that you get into the kingdom. You will like it over here, man. You'll like it. It's pretty dope over here, man. It's freedom over here, So yeah, just do it with faith. And God don't despise the small beginnings. So many times we want to start our business as the big picture because this society has taught us somehow that everybody is exceptional and everybody is extraordinary and the bigger the better. And if you're small, God, he said in Zechariah, do not despise the small beginnings, like I said in the beginning, I had a very, very humble beginning, right? And maybe your beginning might not be in the projects. Maybe your beginning might be trying to just think about an idea and figure out how to pay for the LLC, right? Like maybe your small beginning is starting off with one client, although you have a goal of 10 clients. Maybe your small beginning, right, is just reaching out to tell somebody, hey, you inspired me. Do you mind speaking with me once a week for 30 minutes, right? Like your small beginning matters, and it's the foundation of what you're going to build on. So when you're building your small beginnings, ensure that it's built on a solid ground, right? Built on purpose and driven by faith.
Yeah, I love it. And finally, Let us know what you have going on. How can we follow you on social media? How can we vote for you for the Speak Up Sis Award? Let us know all of the good, juicy details.
Yes, yes. Okay, guys. So for the Speak Up Sis Awards, the link I'm going to drop into the chat so that you guys can vote for me. That's just a simple click. You just click my name under Phenomenal Leader. God is really doing a thing. He's really, really doing a thing because he has called that. He's called me that, right? So I want you guys to vote for me as Phenomenal Leader. I promise to show up in that. I promise to model that on a daily basis. And you can hold me to that. You can hold me to that. Follow us on social media. We are a very engaging brand. We enjoy conversations. We enjoy engagement. So follow us on Facebook at Abide Candles. We're on Instagram at Abide Candle Co. We tick and talk every now and again. So you can follow us on TikTok at Abide Candles, and then also LinkedIn at Abide Candles. We are offering custom candles. If you are a coach, a consultant, a realtor, if you just want to elevate your brand value, increase your profits, or promote customer loyalty, we want to create your custom candles. So visit us at abidecandles.com today to inquire about your own personalized candles. As she stated, I am also a licensed realtor in Georgia, serving government clients, private individuals, investors, and families alike. So all of your real estate needs, whether you have a question, comments, any type of concerns, be sure to give me a call. You can visit my website, tabithaobnu.exp.com. I'll also drop that. I thank everybody for joining us today. I thank Jasmine for this wonderful platform and for allowing me to just share my story, right? I thank you for allowing a space for me to feel vulnerable enough to share my story. So I thank you for that. I appreciate this opportunity more than you know. And I hope that everybody has a blessed night, no matter what the darkness is, depression, anxiety, financial distress. Understand that God is the light, so you can too be the light.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, with that being said, the only thing that I have left to announce on this evening is join me back here next Wednesday for another episode here on the Fly Show with none other than Miss Sparkle Robertson. She is a part of the Fab Five from Empower Mornings that was not here last week. So make sure you tune in right here on the Fly Show because I'm going to be sitting down with her on next week, just discussing her journey as well. It has been my honor. It has been my pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. For all of my replay watchers, make sure you hashtag replay. Let me know where you're watching from. Make sure you continue to like, tag, and share because the Fly Show is on the move. If you would like to be my special guest, make sure you email me at theflyshowwithjazz@gmail.com and I will look into it. All right. You all enjoy the rest of your evening. It has been a pleasure. I love you. And remember to first love you because you absolutely deserve it. Good night, everybody.